Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliet Clark. And before we get started with today's guest, I'd like to invite you to go over on YouTube and follow us at Superbrand Publishing. You can get all the videos from these podcasts over there. So if you missed something when you were listening, you can go over there and repeat. And you're already here, so please leave us a review, like us, share the podcast. We'd love to have you listen some more. Today's guest is Patrick Dewar, and Patrick Dewar is a speaker and mentor on strength-based marketing and leadership. He's the author of the Strength-Based Marketing, What Business Coaches and Marketing Experts Won't Tell You. Patrick has spoken on leadership, sales, and communication styles, mentoring, managing emotions, and other topics since 2000. It's a long time. His communication style is welcoming and persuasive, and he's spoken over 1,000 times on these topics and is a valued asset for companies and associations that invited him to speak in their groups. I can't talk today. Anyway, welcome, Patrick.
Thank you so much, Julia. It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your strength-based marketing and what are those secrets that marketers won't tell us?
Well, thank you. One of the things that a lot of people tend to do when they get into business, they get into trying to build a business, they don't really understand their message. They don't understand where they can get the biggest bang for their buck, the biggest, most effective way to share their message. A lot of times we get into business because we kind of go through the old Michael Gerber syndrome of, we're really good at something, so we think we can do it on our own, and so we step into it, and what do we call ourselves? And we, what I call PFA, at Pluck from Air, and a name out of, and so then they go, well, what do you do? Well, I'm kind of a jack of all trades. And they go, well, that doesn't really help because you become a mist out there. You're not a laser in your message. And so what I do is help people get their message down to where it's real refined to something that identifies exactly who can raise their hand, and then design and implement the tools. In my book, Strength-Based Marketing, we actually walk people through the process of identifying what it is they need to really share with the exact audience, and then what are the tools and the pieces that you need to have in play. And even from old school things like direct marketing, which a lot of people think direct mail, what? And you go, hey, the best secrets were in that, because the message was, we need to get somebody to not buy from us at first. It's just get engaged with us. I think, Julia, that's a lot of the message that you have. It all starts with a relationship. It starts with somebody just raising their hand and saying, tell me more. It's not close me in a sale. Because there's only a few percent, maybe 1 to 3% of the people that will respond to any communication you offer that are there saying, I need your services, please let me write you a check, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the stuff that we're doing is just trying to say, okay, here's the way you get a lead. Then what do you do with the lead? You nurture that. And you make sure that the leads that you're attracting are the ones that you'd actually want to do business with.
That's so true.
Yeah. So that's kind of the gist of it.
So what would you say to people out there? Because I see this so much out in the marketplace where they try a message, it fails, and they're remessaging. And I know you've seen it. It sort of becomes a mess where people look and they don't quite know what you do.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing, is that when people try to tell people what they do, they're not real clear on it themselves. And a lot of us have multiple talents. And Julia, imagine with the publishing you do and the things that you do with your clients, there's many steps in the process. And a lot of times people don't really see what's the real pain that you solve. Mm-hmm. Because people aren't attracted to, they're not as attracted to profit necessarily as they are the ease of pain. If we can identify what it is that is the real root of the pain that we solve in a person's life, then you have so much more value to them in the messaging that you do. Does that make sense?
That makes so much sense because, back when we first started the publishing company, people thought we just published. And when we really got down to what is it these people want, it's visibility. So, that we created what we've created today from there. But I think that's really important for people to understand is what you just said is what is that real pain? Because I can tell you what my pain is. I need a book in order to have credibility. But is that credibility really what you're looking for? Is that visibility? So tell us how you do that inside of your messaging with the book you have.
So one of the things that I always encourage people to do is when they get their, if they're using a book, the things that I would do is your site connected to the book? In the sense that is the message consistent? My website for the book is doer10k, DOER 10 and then K and then businessstrategies.com. And on that site, there are videos and resources and tools that can walk somebody from beginner all the way through mastery in the marketing and business development of a company. And so that's the thing that you want to do is make sure what is your attractor factor, and what's the message behind that? What's the pain you solve? Because for a lot of us, information is abundant, but information that is edible, that is useful, that is consistent, and even continuous. One of the reasons, when you look at your podcast, when you look at your books, when you look at your websites, when you look at your autoresponders or emails that you send out, it's all about creating value to create a deeper relationship when you're always inviting somebody to say, hey, talk to me. If you're really needing the one-on-one stuff, then I'm here. Otherwise, the information is there to help you where you're at. And that's what I do in the book. That's what I do on the website, just to make sure that people have the keys to the tool to really creating the success that they want. Because what I am all about is mentoring leaders all over the country to activate their power so they can create their destiny.
That's very cool. So if you're somebody who's brand new, where would you even begin to jump into all this?
As a new business owner, of course, the first thing you need to do is what's the solution you're going to bring to the table and that you're really good at. But then you need to dive a little deeper and say, what is, I'm going to go back to the pain. What's the pain? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to identify, and then I would design my messaging around that pain and start with the website and and then, if you're really a master at it and you've had some experience in this area and you want to be known as an authority, the book that you guys put together for them, help them create. I think that's a great tool to do that. I also would encourage people to use more of this video and audio. Some people are like, well, I have a face for radio. And I'm like, yeah, I did too for a long time, I thought. And then I had an opportunity to be on TV and then created my own TV show out of that. And it was just because I realized that this, especially in this time period we're in right now, where everybody's kind of shut in, these things, this is golden. I mean, getting in front of your audience, getting in front of people that might serve your audience. If you're talking to professionals, are you talking to people that are authors or speakers or coaches or whoever you really want to serve? There are so many people that actually have, there are 1 million podcasts out there or something. And so there's lots of different venues, but actually looking at them and finding the ones that resonate with you and makes sense to you. And then speaking on their platform and then using that back in all of your messaging, putting it on your social media, in your website, on the emails that you send out, and then being consistent. Realize that most people don't purchase from you until the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 19th time that they hear you, hear your name or hear about you. And then the last thing I would say, and it's probably one of the things that you want to consider real quickly, is identifying, if they're just getting started, identifying who are the top, say, 20 clients that they would like to have.
Mm-hmm.
And really looking at, when I say like to have, not the little beginners. I mean, who would you really like to work for? Who could write you a check that's 10 times larger than what you've been paid in the past and enjoy doing it? In other words, because you're solving a problem for 50, 100, 500 people. You know, those folks might be the ones that you're saying, okay, how am I going to get in those doors? Who are their leadership? What are they doing? I mean, you're doing a little bit of research where you're just trying to find out, you know, what kind of pains. And then the most continuous thing that I would encourage anyone to do is to, well, it's like my mentor used to say. He said, if you want to change what you are, where you are, you have to change what goes in your mind. You know, if you're really good at what you do, then own that space. Mm-hmm. The difference between the person that's the beginner and the expert is a bit of study, but in a lot of people's minds, they don't see themselves as the expert, even though they are, but they've never owned it. They've never really said, you know what, I'm worth it. Now, it might seem kind of, you know, I don't know, hokey. It's not. Because the biggest thing that kills most businesses that I've seen is mindset around, as you're getting started, are you really worthy of that kind of success and to speak to those people? Does that make sense?
No, yeah, it makes total sense. And I love that idea you just presented about, I actually call it the dream list, where, you know, you put on your wall, who are those top 5 or 10 people that you would like to connect with and have as clients. And I think it's amazing. I have one that I ask for introductions all the time if I see a way in the door, because I can, you know, I know the value I bring. So, but you do bring up something I do want you to address. And I know a lot of people get really passionate and they think they could help people, but there are a lot of coaches out there who are not really experts. They kind of, you know, healed themselves or did something. And so when you're defining that expert space, what would you tell those people? Because I think some of them sometimes do more harm than they do good.
You know, I guess part of it is that you got to start somewhere. And even if you don't have all of the knowledge, I would try to find the people that you can help. I would also make sure that you don't overinflate your counsel in the early days to where you're the panacea for, you know, all businesses. I would, and the reason, it's really funny, but I see what you're saying. There are a lot of coaches and business owners that are just getting started. They really don't know what they're doing, and they're trying to claim they're an expert, and they really, you know, ow. And I go, here's the big challenge. There are people that you can serve, that you can get mastery in, and then move on. I used to run a 3-day event. One of the ways that I got trained in speaking and really in the way that I teach is I used to do this, present a 3-day weekend on how to process pain rather than run from it, how to find your purpose and your passion and walk into it. And it was something that, I went through the process. I really enjoyed it. I got really good at what we were trying to share. And I believe that your gifts prepare a place for you to stand. Mm-hmm. And one of the assessments that I found that was really valuable was what's your internal motivational gift? And when I took the little 2-minute quiz, so to speak, or test, it said that teaching was my internal motivational gift. And I thought, nah, I'm not smart enough, you know. And the funny thing is that there's a reason why I was saying that. We all have these negative tapes that are kind of planted in, usually in our life when we're a teenager. Yeah, 18 years old. I went to this college in Texas, a real tiny little college called Texas A&M, and don't hold that against me. But when I got the first day, they said, Mr. Dewar, do you realize that 99% of the rest of the freshmen are older placed above you? And all I could think is, wow, I've never been called an idiot professionally all my life. But that stuck. I worked real hard. I figured it out. I ended up getting my BS degree, not all BS. But when I got out, I never wanted to be called an idiot ever again. And so I studied accelerated learning and memory and reading. And I got to where I was reading pretty much as fast as I wanted to, which is, let's just say, up there. And I remember anything I want, names, lists, presentations, whatever. And it helped my career. But the challenge was I was 40 when I saw that teaching was my internal motivational gift. And I thought, wait a minute, that's just a limiting belief.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with limiting beliefs? You confront them with the adult truth, not the lie that you bought. That 18-year-old mind the child's mind was no longer present at 40, but I had bought that lie for 22 years. And then I went, wait a minute, I read pretty fast. I remember anything I want. And in fact, I probably had read a book a week every week since I was 24 by the time I was 40, and I've pretty much consistently done that. But my point is that you break that, you take out the hot button and never want to be called an idiot. And the challenge is that when we get out and we begin to help others, I always told people, look, the most valuable person in your climb to your mountain is actually not the one that's at the top. It's the one that's about 6 feet in front of you, because they know where the stones were that you could trip on. Mm-hmm. And so I just encourage people to realize that, there are people that are right behind you, but in order to get to the point of mastery, you're doing it enough to where you can work with that person that can pay you 10x. And initially, a lot of times, and this is where I think your comment comes from, is that I think that some people leap and they promote themselves above their state in a way that is detrimental, and they get into a place that they can't help. So they really aren't as helpful as they think they're going to be. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, coaches look like unemployed people that just are trying to make a buck during their interim to their next job. And that's something that has happened a lot. But if you really want to master serving people and really encourage them, stick with it and get the mastery. Learn what you need to learn. Study, make sure you've got a mentor. Make sure you're part of a mastermind. Make sure you've got coaches in your life that are giving you the next steps for you, so that you never get derailed by just getting complacent. I think that's one of the things is some people, they don't continue the learning process. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're going to help others, you need to continue learning into mastery. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And even in other areas as well, you have to be continuously growing. And I agree with the books. You were talking about the books. I do the same. I usually read a book a week, 10 days. So 3 or 4 books a month.
Well, even what's great today is that there are so many books that are in every form you could imagine. Everything from audio to video to written, and they've got them in every platform. I mean, there's no excuse not to be learning, because even with all the speaking that I've done before the virus that's come out, I used to travel 4 or 5 days a week doing a couple hundred workshops around the country, all 50 states. And I would typically get into a region and I would speak Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and fly back Friday night. And so I'd have 2 or 3 hours every night. Well, can't read while you drive, but I have gone through 250 or 300 books in the last 5 years just listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that stuff, please understand, it's not about me. It's an encouragement to anybody that wants to grow. It's that don't ever get stagnant with your learning. Would you follow me?
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I'm a listener as well, because I run usually an hour and a half a day. So a couple days a week. And that's time where it's like my relaxation, kind of Zen time. So I'm a book listener as well. But I do turn around if I find that nugget in it that I want to remember, I will go buy it that I have it as a reference guide as well. So this has been really great, Patrick. If we want to find out more, where can we go? And if we want to contact you, tell us all the places you're at.
So the best site to catch a lot of the ideas that I've been talking about today is DOER, and then 10 for 10, and then the letter K for like 1,000, and then business strategies, completely all the letters, businessstrategies.com. And that site has a ton of information, which is not the solution. It just gives you, there's some value there. If you want to get an autographed copy of my book, Strength-Based Marketing, then email me at patrick@DOER10kbusinessstrategies.com. And I'll send you an invoice, $20, and then I'll send you out. And anybody that gets the book, I always like to add a little extra. And so what I do is I give you access to all of the resources in the back of that website on Doer 10K Strategies and .com. And I'll make sure that you have your supply of information, and just for investing in yourself and letting me help you out in the process. You'll get a bunch of other autoresponders and videos. But the idea is that the information isn't usually the problem. It's implementation.
Right.
Because transformation comes from when you add information with implementation. That creates transformation.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you so much for being on today and sharing all of this wealth of knowledge.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, Julie.